Here's why Trump thinks tariffs are good for the USA. President-elect Donald Trump, an avowed fan of tariffs, is pledging to enact stiff import duties as soon as he's inaugurated in January. For Trump, these new levies would both supercharge the trade policies pursued during his first administration and, more broadly, help the U.S. achieve key economic and social goals. On his Truth Social site Monday evening, Trump unveiled plans to place a 25% tariff on all imports from Mexico and Canada January 20th, his inauguration day. The president-elect also said he intends to levy an additional 10% fee on all imports from China. Trump's penchant for protectionist trade policies is a source of concern for many economists and Wall Street analysts who worry new tariffs and retaliatory measures by U.S. trade partners could slow economic growth, spur inflation, and trigger a trade war. But Trump and his allies, including his choice for Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, have argued that tariffs deployed during his first term did not boost inflation and that the upside could far outweigh any negatives. But tariffs are two things if you look at it. Trump said in October in an interview with Bloomberg News editor-in-chief John Micklethwaite, number one is for protection of the companies that we have here and the new companies that will move in because we're going to have thousands of companies coming into the country. And here are four ways Trump says tariffs will help the U.S., along with what experts say. Protect U.S. manufacturing. Trump believes that imposing tariffs on trading partners will help protect U.S. businesses at a time when domestic manufacturing jobs have fallen far from their peak since 1979. In some instances, the tariffs that Trump imposed in 2018-19 achieved their goal, while the Brookings Institute noted that some evidence that jobs in specific industries may have received a boost. For instance, tariffs on imported washing machines may have created 1,800 new U.S. jobs at Whirlpool and other manufacturers, according to the centrist think tank. But that ignores the broader impact of Trump's first-term tariffs on U.S. manufacturing, with the Federal Reserve finding that U.S. manufacturers ended up facing higher costs for raw materials they imported, as well as from retaliatory tariffs from other nations. The numbers of U.S. manufacturing jobs fell slightly during Trump's first term, from about 12.4 million to 12.2 million workers, although a range of factors could account for that decline. Bring new companies into the U.S. Trump also contends that broad-based tariffs will convince some foreign manufacturers to open plants in the U.S. as a way to avoid the import duties. The higher the tariff, the more likely it is that the company will come into the United States and build a factory in the U.S. so it doesn't have to pay the tariff, Trump told Bloomberg. And although such a shift is possible, Micklethwaite said that such changes would take many, many years. Trump disputed that, saying companies would come right away. Experts note that many factories beyond tariffs affect where companies decide to operate, including supply chains, taxes, shipping costs, and labor and regulatory practices. Already some businesses are anticipating the impact of tariffs by shifting their manufacturing locations, but that may not be guaranteed to benefit the U.S. For instance, shoemaker Steve Madden said if Trump places new tariffs on Chinese imports, it will shift manufacturing away from China and towards nations such as Cambodia and Vietnam. Deliver billions in new federal revenue. Trump has also touted tariffs as a way to generate new federal revenue that can offset his proposed tax cuts. During his first administration, his tariffs, more limited than his current proposals, generated $80 billion in revenue, according to the Tax Foundation. If Trump institutes a 10% tariff on all imports, as he proposed during his campaign, the federal government would be reaping $2 trillion from 2025 through 2034, estimates the nonpartisan Tax Foundation, a think tank focused on tax issues. According to Goldman Sachs, A 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico, along with a 10% tax on Chinese imports, would generate just under $300 billion in tariff revenues per year. Overall, 43% of U.S. imports come from Mexico, 15.4%, and Canada, 13.6%, and China, 13.9%. However, the revenue would largely be paid by U.S. consumers and businesses, experts say. That's because tariffs are not paid by the countries that export to the U.S., as Trump maintains, but rather by the U.S. importers. In other words, companies like Walmart would be faced with a decision of whether to swallow the higher costs of imports or passing those on to consumers, Vicky Redwood, senior economist, advisor for capital economics, wrote in a research note. She noted if the costs are passed on, then customers face a choice: continue buying the more expensive, now import, or switch to buying domestic alternative, which will cost more than the import pre-tariff. Trump tariffs could cost a typical U.S. family an additional $2,600 a year due to importers and manufacturers passing the cost of tariffs to consumers, according to an August analysis from Peterson Institute for International Economics, nonpartisan think tank focusing on economic issues. And this is from CBS News on DNYUZ. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.